Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a very nice night, had time to rest. The weather is again very good, so it brings additional flavor to the mood. We are here in a very wonderful place. It is called Writer's House and has very nice, incredibly important history for Georgia, for Tbilisi. It's a symbol of all hardships, all hopes, everything that we passed through many, many years, starting from the beginning of century. I hope Lasha Bugadze will tell more about the history of this house. Because he knows it very well, and he is often the guest here. Hello, Lasha. And today we are starting our conference. Welcome to Tbilisi once again, and welcome to the Writer's House this time. I would like to present the Vice Deputy Minister of Culture and Monuments Protection of Georgia, Levan Kharatishvili, who is going to talk about the international projects, Creative Europe Desk, all the way we are going together with European partners in order to be integrated in European cultural and funding map.
Okay, good morning. I've been already introduced, so welcome to Georgia, welcome to Tbilisi. It is my pleasure and privilege to address to you during this morning, during the opening of the conference, and greet you on behalf of the Ministry of Culture and Monument Protection of Georgia. As Eka has already mentioned, today I will try to be brief. It's not an easy task to speak about culture and be brief, but, well, you judge. I will start with a very short story, and you will understand what the Ministry of Culture does nowadays. There was a time not long ago when we have found out that there is a document which was called Country's Sustainable Economic Development Strategy 2020. And in this document, we found out that the only place where culture was mentioned was in the English translation in the word agriculture. Yes. And so this was the case when we understood that culture was not always considered to be, I wouldn't say that it was not considered to be an important. It was always an important, and it is all important and will be, but the culture was always, in many ways, considered to be, and the ministry was considered to be like organizer of events, festivals, concerts, and this was it. Just an event planner, we'd say. Of course, we didn't have any strategy, any vision, any document that stipulated what are the priorities for the culture, what we want to reach in a certain period of time. That is why the first thing we started is realizing what we want to see in culture in, for instance, in 10 years' time. And for 2 years, we've been very actively working with the whole society throughout the country, engaging everyone who was interested to be part of it. And we came up with a document called Strategy 2025. And this document has been adopted by the government in 2016. So as soon as the document became compulsory, because it was adopted by the government, now not only the Ministry of Culture is responsible for implementing the document, but the whole government system is. And now we have a long-term vision, what we want to achieve, and I think this document is public. You can see it and download it from our website. It's in English version as well, and I'm sure that Eka has the document and she will be sending this document to you if you're interested. And so one of the main reasons and the missions for the ministry was to rethink what is the concept of the ministry. Is it the ministry of culture, or is it the ministry for culture? So this was the choice that we made, and now we are working on in this endeavor to develop the concept that this is actually the Ministry for Culture. And our responsibility is to create an enabling environment where all interested individuals, actors of culture would engage and use the possibilities. And one of the achievements that we had was, of course, joining the European cultural family in 2015. We were actually the first Eastern Partnership country who joined Creative Europe, and this enabled the Georgian society to get access to 1.46 billion euro budget. And of course, as soon as we did it, and we of course started a huge campaign, we were happy to join because we are now partially joined EU actually in terms of the culture. And of course there was skepticism. Nobody believed that they would overcome all the challenges that there are, and we all know that there are a lot of challenges to be successful in Creative Europe. That is why I congratulate the authors and the partners of the project, because they did it. And we are very proud that it was the first theater in Georgia, Kote Marjanishvili theater. It was not a surprise, actually, because this theater is very active, but it was... Of course, of course. But the choice was very good as well, of the partnership and of the concept. And of course, the skepticism was that we wouldn't make it. It's just that the state is wasting the money. But we are very happy now because this number has increased from the first program to 11. We have now 11 successful programs in Creative Europe. In all 11 cases, Georgia is the partner institution, but not a leading one. But we are trying to be there as well. And so the Creative Europe now is open, and of course now we started to realize what are other challenges. And the most important aspect and the future for culture, what we believe, and I'm sure you know it already, is creative industries. So creative industries is rethinking and re-realizing what the culture is, and it's actually presenting the spillover effect of the culture. So it means that culture can truly benefit for the country's economic, social, and other developments. It's not only the aesthetic richness, but it's the possibility to help the country. And that is why we have established an organization which is called Creative Georgia. And the idea of this organization is to help cultural institutions, individuals, with the capacity building, with understanding what creative industries are, how they can benefit the country. And we have just recently come up with a very interesting report. It's not public yet, so you're the first one to hear the statistics, that it's called UNESCO Culture for Development Indicators. And the results were amazing because we found out that the total amount of the GDP in terms of the culture is 2.8, and the 5.5 percentage of the population is engaged in, is employed in the sphere of culture. And it's a huge number, but it's not that huge that we want it to be. So these figures now gave us the impetus to work hard with the government institution to say that it's not the task that you are wasting money when you spend money on the culture. It's really an investment. And for us, it's very important that cultural institutions like the theater, Kote Marjanishvili Drama Theater, has been very active from the very beginning in terms of exploring many fundraising opportunities that there are. Because in most of the cases, unfortunately, in Georgia, still cultural actors are still depending on the government support. And you will hardly find any cultural institutions which is government in as an official public institution that can survive without government funding. And it's okay, of course, you have to support it. But we have very few cases like Kote Marjanishvili Theater that tries to explore these opportunities. And I use this opportunity as well to congratulate you. And also thanks the organizers that you have selected Tbilisi to be the host of this conference, which is very important. And I would add, if I have like a couple of minutes, that another aspect that we are working now is rethinking the actual importance of the cultural institutions. For instance, now we are in the Writers' House, and we are speaking about the Kote Marjanishvili Drama Theater. So in Georgia, one of the problems and challenges we have is the lack of the cultural institutions, especially in the regions. And it has rather to do with also the cultural infrastructure. So in most of the cases, in regions, we don't have this cultural infrastructure we need. And it causes a lot of problems, of course, especially in the youth, which is not interested to be engaged in the life of the regions, and they try to come to Tbilisi or either to go abroad. So what we now try is to help these institutions or the regions to come up with a concept where you can use an institution for different purposes. For instance, the theater. The theater can be the theater, of course, with performances, etc. The theater can be used as space for film, for presenting some films and movies. It can be an educational basis where you can have integrated lessons for the school students and university students. It can perform as a library as well, and why not a museum? So it has multi-purpose perspectives, which will also give an opportunity for all target groups to come to the theaters or to the museums or to the libraries and see the whole spectrum of the culture, what can be presented. So this is what we do nowadays, and we try to engage in every international projects doing so. And creative industries is the sense that we try to invest in every cultural institution so that they are strong enough to explore these opportunities which are there, and which is very important because the whole process is very important because the partners are dealing with it. They are trying to find the partners abroad. And Creative Georgia has Creative Europe desks. So Creative Georgia, in its structure, is dealing with creative industries on one hand, and on the other hand, they have media and culture desks. And the idea of this media and culture desk is to help the institutions to find the partners, to help to come up with more successful projects, and to be successful in general. And that is why, given the example of the Kote Marjanishvili theater, now more and more institutions try to be engaged. They saw that it's not a star that you cannot reach. This is something that is real. This is something that you can actually be successful. And that is why it is our now main mission to help the sector to initiate very interesting projects, to be engaged in exploring partners, to discuss common attributes. And of course, you know, and I'm sorry for my long introduction and my speech, that next year we are celebrating a lot of things. Next year Georgia will be celebrating 100 years of independence. It's one of the first democracies. And another aspect is that in 2018, you know that Europe is celebrating the Cultural Heritage Year. So that is why what we do now is that we try to bring, to join the celebration, of course, obviously, but also we try to involve all our cultural institutions to realize how they can benefit to the European cultural heritage celebration and what they can do in terms of celebrating this year, no matter of the function of the institution itself. So the theater, for instance, I'm sure that they will be engaged in many activities and presenting the cultural heritage in different forms. And this will be the slogan for the whole Europe to unite. And also I will use the opportunity and invite you in 2018 in Frankfurt, Buchmesse, because Georgia will be the guest of honor country there. Of course, through literature, we will be presenting the whole aspect and the spectrum of the Georgian culture. I'm sorry if my morning speech was too long, but I would like to use the opportunity and thank you once again for organizing the conference here. Congratulate you with a successful program. We are ready to support on every level the project, because the idea of the project is to bring theaters more to the society, to engage by engaging different tools and technologies. So from the mythology to new technologies, this is something that is also our aspect of work with different cultural institutions. So I think that it is a very timely project with very clear benefits. So as a ministry, we are ready to support on every level. Thank you very much. I wish you a very successful and pleasant stay. And of course, Kote Marjanishvili Theater is so powerful that they have managed to organize a very good weather for you as well. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Vice Minister, for a really nice speech. Thank you also for hospitality, and thank you, Eka and your theater, for host conference and General Assembly of the European Theatre Convention. The European Theatre Conventions are representative of not agriculture but culture. Actually, we are represented almost 40 theatres in Europe, trying to make the theatre more stronger than it used to be, or even try to make theatre survive in our difficult time. The things you mentioned actually was a thing what we are trying to do right now, and today we will launch our new program, which is also granted from European Commission as a part of the Creative Europe program. And the program has a significant title, and the title is Engage. As you said, we need more engaging ourselves in society, and we think we could do it through the theatre. We think, all of us, that the theatre is really important, as it was important in ancient time, as it will be important in the end of the 21st century. So we choose the title for this conference, It's Your Beautiful City, which I was talking with some of our members through walking through a beautiful garden, how the Tbilisi seems for us, who really not really know about the city. It's so impressive as a meeting point of different culture, what makes them more interesting. So we will try in these 2 days, under the title Mythology, from mythology to technology, explore what does the theatre means today, what was the meaning in the past, and how we'll keep them to have a meaning in the future. So I just would like to say again, thank you for the hospitality, for hosting us, and I hope after these 2 days, maybe we will not change the world, but maybe in some part of our future, the theatre could look better.